The Federal and Francis Xavier Engineering College jointly present the Nellai Marathon 2024. This event is powered by Little Flower Public School and NIMS Hospital, Tirunelveli. Run for Health on Sunday, December 29. Entry is free and all are welcome.
Hello and welcome to The Federal, and also a very Merry Christmas to all our viewers. Tomorrow, which is the 26th of December, the Congress Party will be organizing a two-day meet in Karnataka's Belgaum, or what is now called the Belagavi district. Now, this is a Congress session to mark the foundation day of the party. It's 139th foundation day. But there's a special reason why Belgaum has been chosen by the party. It was in 1924, the 39th session of the Congress Party held in Belgaum, where Mahatma Gandhi, for the first and the only time, took the reins of the Congress as the Congress president for just about 5 months. But that was the only occasion at the Belgaum session of the Congress in 1924, December 26 to 28, when Mahatma Gandhi was made the Congress president. So it marks the centenary of that year. And that is why the Congress has chosen Belgaum as its foundation day, to mark its foundation day this year. But there's something that's even more interesting that is happening. While of course the symbolism of the Mahatma, the message of the Mahatma are going to be central to the Congress's session in Belgaum, the party has also, on the 27th of December, has also decided to organize a rally. Now, the rally is going to be headlined as Jai Bapu, Jai Bhim, Jai Samvidhan. The reference here is to the Mahatma, to the principal author of the Indian Constitution, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, and the Constitution itself. We've seen during the Lok Sabha elections how the India Alliance and the Congress used a Save Constitution plank for its electoral narrative. It's a plank that gave the Congress very rich dividends, gave the opposition rich dividends, and subsequently, even though the opposition, the India bloc, could not form the government, but they have stayed with its Save Constitution pitch. There is another relevance to this. The recently concluded winter session of Parliament saw a two-day debate in the Lok Sabha and 2 days in Rajya Sabha on the Constitution, because this is the year that marks the 75th year of the adoption of the Constitution. And during that debate in the Rajya Sabha, while replying to the discussion, Union Home Minister Amit Shah made certain remarks against which the Congress and the opposition have claimed were an insult, were made against Dr. Ambedkar. And so naturally, the opposition and particularly the Congress now wants to use that controversial remark to pillory the BJP further on the issue of the Constitution, on the issue of who respects the legacy and the contributions of both Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. So historically, this is rather interesting, because there have been in the years after independence, we've seen how there have been differences between the Ambedkarite thought and philosophy and what is called the Gandhian philosophy. There were also differences through the freedom struggle, the last years, and then subsequently between Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar, the two giants of the Indian freedom struggle. The Dalits started moving away from the Congress in the last 25, 30 odd years. And the Congress now is trying very hard to consolidate that. The Safe Constitution pitch, the Jai Bapu, Jai Samvidhan, Jai Bhim narrative all marries into this strategy, this political maneuvering of the Congress. I have with me today Dr. Ashok Bharti, Mr. Ashok Bharti, the president, the chairperson of the National Confederation of Dalit Organizations. He works on the ground with various Dalit organizations, Dalit communities, uh, and we'll be discussing this sort of interesting experiment that the Congress is trying to do with its Jai Bapu, Jai Bhim, Jai Samvidhan rally. Welcome, Mr. Bharti.
Thank you.
Let me
Thank you very
start.
much, Puneet.
I'll start with asking you this very basic question. This thing that's happening now over the next 2 days in Belgaum. How do you see this? How significant is it? How interesting is it? Is it an interesting experiment in your view? Because we've seen differences between the Ambedkarite movement and the Congress, the Gandhian philosophy, all of that. How do you view it today?
I think let me, first of all, thank you to your viewers. And it is really exciting to see that the Congress is observing 100th year of Gandhi's chairing the Indian National Congress, which used to happen annually. And it's not only that. I'm sure that you are aware that the first time the issue of untouchability was discussed in 2024, and that was because of the Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi or Mahatma Gandhi. So I believe, I don't know whether the Congress has
1924, you meant.
Yeah. I don't know whether the Congress remember that, but it is really very good that the Congress reminding the struggle that began in 1924 and look at the situations. The Congress, the entry of anti-untouchable movement in the Congress in 1924, and in 2024, Congress takes up the cause of the Dalits again. So it's really exciting.
So a 100-year gap in that sense, one could say, between what was done in 1924 by Bapu and now the Congress's kind of renewed campaign for constitution, for the oppressed, for the Dalits, and at a time when the Congress has a Dalit president too. So if I could ask you, if you could put this in perspective, why did, in the years after Ambedkar and after Gandhi, and, after all the stalwarts were gone, why was it that the Dalits gradually became disillusioned with the Congress? And not just the Dalits, but we saw, post Mandal, the backwards moving away, the tribals moving away. And now, naturally, this effort to bring back that support base into the Congress's fold. But the big question, of course, is why did they move away? The BJP claims that, and we saw through the constitution debate in the winter session, how the BJP constantly said that the Congress had been anti-Ambedkar. Pandit Nehru personally tried and succeeded in getting Dr. Ambedkar defeated in 1952 and 1954 by-elections. And the Congress has never been for the cause of the Dalits. Of course, electorally, we've seen the Dalits move away from the Congress over the last few decades. And now the Congress in 2024 saw a kind of revival of Dalits coming back into its fold. So why did this happen?
The first thing, who needs government? We have to ask ourselves, who needs government? Government in a democracy essentially is a tool for the deprived, for the disadvantaged, for the poor, for the needy, because rest of the people can take care of themselves. So post-independence, who needed the government? There were two sections of the society that needed the government. One, who wanted to exploit the gains of the independence in the government. The second, those who were outside the periphery, who was outside the citizenry rights, citizens' claims, and who were completely disadvantaged, disenfranchised, and who hardly has any clue that how this government functions. So these were the primarily two sections who wanted to, who needed the government. Congress, because lots of the people who were part of the Congress, they belong to the first sections.
Right.
Jamnalal Bajaj, Birlas, obviously the capital party who were supporting the Congress, and the people who had money, they were supporting the Congress because of they wanted to see India rise from the thraldom of the slavery or from the foreign yoke, and right so that and for them the freedom was important. And of course, that Congress was leading the freedom movement. Gandhi was on the forefront, Jawaharlal Nehru was on the forefront, and so were the other many people. After the formation of the government, and we must remember that what the freedom movement resolved to solve after the independence, it gave hope to the disadvantaged community, especially the untouchables, ex-untouchables, Dalits, Adivasi, needy, poor, landless. All these people were looking forward to the formation of the free India's government. And over a
Right.
period of time, they saw that mighty and rich getting mightier and rich. The government participation in the government remained as elusive as it was pre-independence India. The Brahmin had completely control over the bureaucracy. The Savarnas had complete control of the bureaucracy. OBC were nowhere. Dalits were nowhere. The Adivasi were nowhere. So therefore, slowly, these people were getting disillusioned. And they expected the government to act. And therefore, since the time of independence, these people also have their own political formations. Like Dr. Ambedkar was founder of the first Independent Labour Party. Then he was founder of the All India Scheduled Caste Federation. Then before he died, he has initiated the formation of the Republican Party of India. And why Republican Party of India? Because he wanted that the constitution has been made. Now the challenge at that time, that what Dr. Ambedkar said, challenge is not now the challenge before the nation was how to implement in letter and spirit the Constitution of India. That's why he founded the Republican Party of India. But when we have our own government, when the vested interest or the money interest gets involved with the government, obviously they get the major pie of the benefits of the governance. So slowly, Dalits, Adivasi, minorities, they got disillusioned and they joined other political streams. So I believe that is the one, cutting in short, that there is a story of the hope, then a story of disillusionment. And is India repeating the same as it repeated in 1960s in the current regime of the Mr. Narendra Modi? I
So
believe.
are you suggesting that the very reasons that led to these communities, and particularly the Dalits, get disillusioned with the governance or the administration of the Congress-led regimes of the past, there is a real possibility of the same reasons and maybe more forcing the Dalits away from the BJP today?
Well, you know that there are two issues with the BJP and Dalits. One, we have to
Right.
understand Dalit have not very large or very major or ideological differences. They have some differences with the Congress and moderate forces. They have some ideological differences. But the most of their ideological differences are with Bharatiya Janata Party, which wants a Hindu Rashtra. And Dalits, Adivasis, Bahujan, and minority, they stand against the Hindu Rashtra. Because India has been having Hindu Rashtra, which was earlier known as Brahmin Rashtra. It is a new word. The new word was part of the only 100 years or 100, 150 years or so. Prior to there was no Hindu Rashtra. So therefore, one, that Dalit have a very sound and solid argument against the Hindu Rashtra. That is the one. But because Congress doesn't want Hindu Rashtra, Congress believed they was the creator, they were the founder, they took help of Dr. Ambedkar, and they believe in parliamentary democracy. Therefore, very few ideological differences with the Congress. So I guess this is this is the fundamental way, this is a fundamental cause why Dalit would be happy to align with the Congress again.
Right. So, Mr. Bharti, we saw over, the 4 days of the debate on the Constitution, the 75 years of the adoption. In Parliament, the BJP making various comments about the Congress, various criticisms at the Congress, calling it anti-Ambedkar, quoting from various speeches made by Dr. Ambedkar against, which were critical of Pandit Nehru, critical of the government of the day. The BJP claimed how the Congress undermined the Constitution because it does not respect Dr. Ambedkar. They talked about how Pandit Nehru personally got involved in trying to get Dr. Ambedkar defeated in the elections. So that's one part of the BJP's rhetoric as far as Dr. Ambedkar is concerned and the Congress are concerned. And then we have the Congress's own allegations about the BJP, about the BJP's comments, and not just the BJP but the Sangh Parivar, the RSS, their ideologues like Veer Savarkar, making comments against Dr. Ambedkar back then when Dr. Ambedkar was still alive, burning his effigies, saying that the Constitution cannot govern India, it has to be the Manusmriti. So between the claims that the BJP makes today with regard to the Constitution and Dr. Ambedkar and its own respect for the two, and its own history, how do you see how do you reconcile the two? I mean, in your view, where is the truth between these? Yeah.
Let me put the facts. Dr. Ambedkar, for few years, was part of the government. He was first law minister. He was the chairman of the drafting committee of Constitution. And Congress has played a significant role in having him as a chairman of the drafting committee. Then he became a minister. Like Shama Prasad Mukherjee, he was in Hindu Mahasabha, then he became the founder of the Jan Sangh. He was also part of the government.
Right.
We must understand. So that government was not the Congress government per se, that was a national government. And when somebody resigned, resignation does not mean that you are being thrown out. That is the one.
Right.
The second, we must understand in democracy, the argument of the BJP is that the Congress fought against Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar had a political party, and Dalits have no issue with this. Dr. Ambedkar had a political party. He was contesting election, and of course, Congress was a political party. They will contest election with against Dr. Ambedkar. Was Hindu Mahasabha not contesting election? Was Jan Sangh, after creating Jan Sangh, they were not contesting election? So elections are not, humiliating or insulting anybody else. It's a process of the democracy. So I don't think if anyone contesting election against Dr. Ambedkar or getting defeated Dr. Ambedkar means, insulting Dr. Ambedkar. And Dr. Ambedkar himself has said. So, and there were people now, there are historical record who was responsible, who was not responsible. We shouldn't get in. But I just want to put it in this perspective. Elections, contesting election or defeating election or winning election has nothing to do with the insults or indignities. It's a part of the electoral process. So
but how do you see the BJP's own, BJP or the Jan Sangh, their commitment to the Constitution and to the
That's
values
what
of
I'm
Dr.
coming to.
Ambedkar.
So that
Yeah.
is the one, that getting defeated Dr. Ambedkar, or that is not part of that theory of insult is cooked, and recipe is of the BJP. This is not the recipe of the democracy, because BJP and the RSS are expert in cooking a recipe, in air, and contradicting to the constitutional and legal and democratic processes. In fact, they are questioning the process. They are linking the democratic process with the insult and humiliation. That is one. The second, regarding the BJP, what BJP was doing? BJP was opposed to the rights of the women. Dr. Ambedkar was, what he was doing? He was creating Hindu Code Bill. Hindu Code Bill, the purpose of the Hindu Code Bill was giving women equality per se as per the man had, preventing the multiple marriages, preventing polygamy. So these were the, which were, as common in Hindu as it was in Muslims at that time.
Yeah.
So therefore, Dr. Ambedkar wanted that let women be, the rights of the women be ensured. Their rights in the property, family property be ensured. Because Dr. Ambedkar, when he was writing the caste genesis anthropological paper, he mentions that the women has been one of the cause of creation of the caste. I'm sure that people would like to read that, Therefore, he was very, very concerned about the women and their equality. And what BJP was, what Jansangh or the Shama Prasad Mukherjee or the people like him, they're doing, they were burning Dr. Ambedkar's effigy because he wanted to give equal right to the women. Now, what is the situation of the BJP? BJP want to show that they have given rights to the women. With one hand, they want to give right to the women. With the other hand, they have deprived women representation in the parliament over next 10 years. So therefore, I believe that my opinion is that BJP, because they are propounder of the Hindu Rashtra. They believe in the Savarkar theory of Hindu Rashtra. So therefore, the two nation theory was propounded by this Savarkar. So BJP follow the principle of Savarkar. Will BJP condemn Savarkar for sowing the bees of the Pakistan? Muslims started talking about the Pakistan 1940s. But Savarkar started talking about the two nation theory much earlier.
Dr. Bharti, let me ask you the other, during the Lok Sabha elections, how we saw the, Samvidhan becoming a central theme, the Constitution becoming a central theme of the opposition's election campaign. And to a great extent, the opposition has stuck to that theme even now. Although the BJP has been claiming that the results in Maharashtra and Haryana show that that theme, that whole narrative was a fake narrative. In light of what we've seen in Maharashtra or Haryana, or even the aggression of the BJP after the Lok Sabha results, how relevant is the constitution as an electoral plan for the opposition today? And do you think that the opposition can and the Congress party, with its Samvidhan Sammelans and the rally in Belgaum, can they revive the whole electoral narrative around the Samvidhan to the same level at which we saw during the Lok Sabha elections?
Sir, for the first time, the country is contesting election on its constitution. Never ever in the India's elections, the constitution was an issue. Why it was not an issue? because the parochial group never allowed to make the constitution an issue. It is the victory of the people who got their right from the constitution, who got equality under the constitution, who got freedom under the constitution, who got dignity under the constitution. They have brought this constitution on the fore agenda. Elections will keep coming and will keep going. The BJP and the political party and Congress, I believe the now agenda is whether the Constitution of India will be implemented or will it be violated. So now there are two forces. One force is saying we want Constitution to be implemented in letter and in spirit. The other party say that we revere Constitution, but we will never implement this Constitution. We will violate the Constitution as far as the election commission's conduct of the election commission is concerned. We will violate the Constitution as far as appointment of the judges in the Supreme Court, High Court is included. We will violate the Constitution if it is appointments as far as the appointment in the higher position is concerned. So therefore, we will. So there are two streams now. One stream that put Constitution on their head. They revere the Constitution, but shy of implementing what Constitution of India provides. Constitution of India says after the independence, every religious issue is settled. In 1991, there was a law was made that let us put the religious strife at bay. Whatever is there, what is there under earth. But now, the same party which rules, they are digging the earth everywhere. So there has to be some position. So Constitution of India says not anymore this strife, but party which violate the Constitution, they do this strife every day. So therefore, I believe right now the forces vouching for the Constitution may be electorally weak. But Puneet ji, let me tell you, they will not remain weak, and 2029 election will tell this.
But Ashokji, there are 5 years to go for 2029. There are, of course, many assembly elections in between. For Rahul Gandhi or the Congress or the India bloc as a whole, how difficult is it to sustain the constitution narrative? Because public memory becomes short. People also get bored of the same thing being told again and again. I have heard many people say Rahul's speeches are very repetitive. So, in your view, how does the Congress sustain this momentum? Can it only be done because you've done one rally here or a press conference there? Will that sustain the narrative? Or are there other ways in which you think the Congress needs to diversify into explaining the people that the Constitution, the legacy of Dr. Ambedkar, the principles of Mahatma Gandhi are as relevant today and under threat today as and the people need to fight for it? How does the Congress do that?
First, every national leader who have been actively involved in the freedom movements are under threat from the forces who never participated in the freedom movement, who never fought for the India's freedom. That is the one. Because they never fought for freedom, they want to co-opt the freedom fighters. So that is the one. The second, we must understand political party will always have limitations and will have always to find some, something that gives kick to the people. But Constitution is a permanent kick. Constitution tells people that what are their rights and why they are getting these rights and why people are not getting their rights. Just one important thing I would like to bring. The Dalits have been vouching for the Constitution for a long time. But the new element that are entering and who are having the constitution their side, who are these new people? These new people are coming from the lower OBCs, other backward classes, minorities joining this wagon. So everybody who feels secure, who wants security, who want a cover of the security, they are looking toward the constitution. So it's not Congress or political party that will run the campaign. Campaign will be run by the people who gets their dignity and rights through the constitution. Political party are there to form the government for the constitution or government against the constitution. Now the battle is the who is for the constitution and the governance, and there are party who are against the governance of the constitution and the government. So therefore I believe we have to see from that perspective, or 5 years, 10 years in history of the people's right is a very small time. And I believe that in 1885, who thought the India will get freedom? It was a club of the few advocates. In 1924, when Gandhi came to the scene, prior to that, it was a platform of panditry and the big things. Only Gandhi introduced the mass actions. Gandhi came to the Congress after having the first mass action in the country. Am I right?
Right.
Asahयोग Andolan. Gandhi did not come first in the Congress. Gandhi came after having his first mass action of Asahयोग Andolan, Khilafat movement. So therefore I believe the constitution was the outcome of the India's freedom struggle. And anyone who was not part of the freedom struggle, they will never be favorable. They will not be, loyal to the constitution, that is a document of the outcome of the freedom movement.
Pleasure talking to you, Ashokji. Thank you so much for your time.
The Federal and Francis Xavier Engineering College jointly present the LA Marathon 2024. This event is powered by Little Flower Public School and NIMS Hospital, Tirunelveli. Run for Health on Sunday, December 29. Entry is free and all are welcome.